Yeah, so I know we talk about it sometimes in terms of understanding. What are some of the things we want to understand, and then framing, you know, uh, uh, kind of strategy and so what do we want to understand at a high level, and kind of what are we trying? What's framing all about?
Yeah, so framing is starting to connect the dots into make sense of this problem space. So designers, tend we do a lot of things like um, understand maybe the emotional journey that the customer goes through. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it has highs and low points
Mm.
now. And therefore, where are the opportunities to hit some of those low points and bring them up? Maybe a product is great, but it isn't solving the full problem. So let's understand kind of what comes before they use the product, what is happening in parallel to their use of the product, and where do they come out of this? Like they use the product to do X, and maybe they need to share it with, there's an output and they need to share it with other people, or they got to schedule an appointment, or they need to send something from a status standpoint, that trying to understand kind of how this product connects to the rest of their life outside. So we do a lot of what we would call like modeling and trying to understand early patterns for user experience that are going to get them to help overcome those risks of, product value and product usability uh, that also starts a really healthy discussion in the team then about uh, the technologies that make the most sense. Like there's a lot of ways to skin a cat sometimes.
Mm.
What's the best technology to marry up to this solution? Sometimes we don't always know the touch points. Like, is this a website? Is this a native mobile application that a user is using on their phone? Is it both? Are there other pieces of the puzzle? So how do we get to like a consistent experience? If, I could start the experience on a phone, put it down, go to my desktop, maybe later in the day, and I'm getting things in my email. Like, so really where is the patient connecting with this experience from end to end? So it requires us to kind of connect some dots and start to paint some early pictures of how this whole experience can work and exist alongside other things that the user is experiencing in their day-to-day life, which is complicated and busy, and everybody's fighting for attention and energy. So we want to make sure that we are really kind of there for them in the ways that they need.
So what's the output of this upfront, what we call the problem space, right? What do you get at the end?
Yeah. So, what we're aiming for in this early part of discovery is, product strategy. That's where, here are all the problems that we could solve, but now we start to get them into priority order and say, like, these are the most critical things to solve. So out of the gate, does it solve this problem first before we get into some of these others? And while some others are legit, we might not even address them in the first release of the product. So trying to get the goals set up for solutioning. So when we go into solutioning, we now have an idea. We've got to tackle these problems first. These are high opportunity targets that we want to hit. And they each have their own assumptions. They each have their own risks. Some are, more complex than others. And we want to hit that early before we get too far into the build. So that strategy is really shaping that up.